Hi, Coach. Happy Friday. Just wanted to
Sammy.
hear what your thoughts on facing Seattle were. They had 4-0 in their first game, one, and then had LAFC with a draw. What are you seeing from them, and what do you guys need to accomplish when you head up there?
Yeah, they're a good team, obviously. A lot of experience together. Some adjustments in the way they are shaping up the team so far this year. It's 2 games of observation for us, but a little bit different in that they're playing a back three. They have some wing backs that are pretty aggressive and like to get up the field. Playing with 2 strikers now, with Bruin and Rui Diaz working off of each other. In the early games, Roldan is working underneath them. Obviously, we'll see if Lodero comes back into the mix at some point. I assume he'll fill that role, and Roldan might drop back a line. But so they've adjusted a little bit, just their shape. But I still think their identity is still their identity. They like to keep possession, but probably more than anything, they do a great job of protecting themselves, not giving up many goals. Staying in games, and sometimes they take over games, and sometimes they stay in games and they find ways to win it. So that's just the experience of their group and what they've done over a number of years now. And so with a slightly different shape, it is what it is for us. We just need to be aware of the different things they might do and prepare ourselves to go there. We want to try to have as much of the ball as we can through the course of the game. But make sure that we're trying to move those guys in their back line, create opportunities, and again protect ourselves. We want to get through a game where we don't give up a silly goal or two and keep it clean and tight. And you need to do that when you go on the road and play a team as good as they are.
Thanks, Nicky. We'll go next to a question from Scott French.
Hey, Greg.
Scott, all right.
You signed Koulibaly this week. Williams, we're waiting on to see if he's going to get in. I'm just wondering statuses on both of them in terms of joining the team, and then as you're stepping forward into games 3, 4, 5, what it is you're looking for defensively to improve.
Yeah, Williams has been training this week. He should be available if he gets through everything fine today and fine tomorrow, which we expect. There's no reason he wouldn't. He would be available for the match this weekend. With Sega, he is in the visa process. Hopefully we can get through that somewhat quicker than we have the last couple, but he's in process, and hopefully we can get him here soon. As far as defending in the next several games, I think you look at the goals that we've given up. We've given up too many chances, so I think just tightening up a little bit there. There's a number of different reasons for that, and I think we need to clean that up. I think organizing things sooner, getting into the right spots, recognizing situations. Sometimes where we lose the ball matters, and so that specifically was a little bit in the Miami game. But the other goals, we've given up a penalty kick, we've given up a set piece goal, we've given up goals that are they're preventable with some concentration, with, again, some organization, some things that we can do to help ourselves even before the situations occur. I think we can eliminate a lot of these moments that are costing us. So that's part of it, and that's a big part of it. And then, just front to back defending. Sometimes in games we've gotten a little bit too stretched out from front to back, and it's making sure we stay collectively connected, close to each other, and we're able to support each other in defensive plays and defensive moments. So. But we're making the right progress. Again, I think we take away the set piece goal, we take away the penalty kick. I know there's one other one in there that I feel like might have been a set piece or something that we needed to that we just need to do better on in terms of organization and execution.
Thank you, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Scott. We'll go next to Damien Calhoun with Yellow News Group. Damien, go for it.
Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Good, Damien. Thanks.
Sort of piggyback on the last question there, is the goals, is that just a lack of communication? The guys really haven't played with each other that much?
Yeah, I don't know if it's I don't think it's about playing together. I think when you give up a set piece goal the way we did the second goal the other night, that's just not taking charge in the moment. When you have a gap between when the foul is called and you organize your team and you make sure that you have enough numbers to deal with what's going on at the front post, and you organize and you take care of whatever the opposition is doing, whether they're overloading the front or the back, or you've got to sort that out quickly on the field and make sure that people are accountable and your line is together and you take care of things. And I think that's just, again, within the group on the field in the moment, there needs to be some ownership on that situation and being engaged. Some of the other plays, I just think in general, I speak in generalities about our defending. I think there is the one thing that we need more of is proactive communication to organize things. When do we want to release players off of the line to help us to get pressure to the ball? When do we want to keep them? And that, coming from our center backs, coming from the guys behind the guys who are speaking to the guys in front of them, just so some of the cues, because look, against the Red Bulls, they played in 3 different formations over the course of the game, so you have to adapt inside of the game, and players need to communicate to each other and problem solve. That's still a process that we're working through together as a group so that we recognize when teams make adjustments, how we can manage that a little bit better and quicker. But some of that's just proactive communication so that, reference points are sorted out or releasing guys to get pressure to the ball so that we're not dealing with things so close to our goal. Some of it's a work in progress. Some of it's just personality that we need our guys just to be more present, more vocal, and more proactive about the information they're giving to each other.
And one more, Jonah and Javier, did they check out okay, return to training and everything?
Yeah, they're both good. They're fine. They trained this week and are ready to be available.
Thanks, Damien. We'll go next to Josh Guessman with Corner of the Galaxy. Josh, go for it.
Hey, Greg. Just to follow up on a couple different things. One, the status of Kevin Cabral and whether or not he's making his way over here to the United States. And then an injury update on Jalen Neal. I think it was a stress fracture, if you have something on that. And then, sorry, 3 questions on this one, but Koulibaly, where do you see him sort of fitting in? Is he coming in to start? Obviously, you guys went out to get him for a reason. So how do you see him fitting into the defense?
I'll work those in order. The first one was, I had them all in my head.
Status.
Cabral status. This is a little bit of a mind-boggling one. Today we found out, because we were wondering what was taking so long. He had gone through the process. There seemed to be administrative error in the embassy in terms of some paperwork. We were hoping that they sorted that out today, but they didn't, which means he probably won't get his passport back until Monday, which hopefully he'll travel Monday or at the latest Tuesday. The challenge for us is that means from a quarantine standpoint, it starts to push into another week. And so we thought 100% we were going to have him here this week, and we were wondering what was taking so long, and there seemed to be some disconnect in some of the paperwork between the U.S.-based embassy communicating with the one based in France, for example. So that's disappointing, but I know he's anxious to get here. He's eager, and we'd love to get him here, but we're looking at next week now, unfortunately, beginning of next week. As far as Jalen, it's a stress fracture. He's making progress. He's been in a boot for a couple of weeks. He's starting to do a little bit of activity without the boot, but not too much. It's something that it's a little bit about patience. We need to make sure this thing heals, because if it's a stress reaction that we don't want to turn into an actual fracture, and so we have to be a little bit patient with that. As far as Koulibaly, we brought him in. He's a different type of center back than the center backs that we currently have. He's a little bit of a hybrid between playing right back and playing center back. He has he's aggressive, athletic, comfortable, on the ball. He's younger, so he kind of fits in some of that age profile that we don't have many guys, which is in that 24-ish, 25, 23 range, which gives us another younger player that we can start to develop and bring along here over the course of the next couple of years. So, again, a little different than the group of guys we have, and he'll compete to start, and it's a competition now. We've got some guys, that are going to push each other and compete to be the guys who are the starters for the group.
Thanks, Greg.
Yep.
We'll go next to a question from John Rojas. John, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. Greg, thanks for the time. With Jonah and Javier, you already said that they trained during the week, but I'm curious, with the cramping situation, is easier and is more effective to manage training loads or playing minutes? Or you planning on do both? You need to do both?
Yeah, neither are related to the cramping. It is, we've done some pretty extensive work with him on where it's at. From what we're gathering, it is more related to the workload within the match, and the intensity, the steps. He's getting some, whether it's lactic acid buildup in certain areas of his body, whether it's calves or quads, and we have some solutions which aren't important for this purpose, but we have some solutions. But the solutions are going to take 2, 3, 4 weeks just to adapt a few things with him. Of course, during the week, we're always managing the load of the guys. We're extra attentive of Jonah specifically. And I'm speaking of Jonah, but it's not really related to hydration or things like that. So we just have to be attentive and aware, communicating with him, and while we go through the process of trying to adapt some of the things that we're learning that might be helpful to his cause and his case. Javier in general he's fine. We manage his loads as we do all the other guys. We have different sort of standards for each guy because each guy is individual. Each guy has their own injury history. Each guy is of a different age and has a different background. So everybody has their own targets that they hit during the course of the week, and it's about each of those guys doing that through the week so that they feel as prepared as possible going into the game, but also as rested and fresh as possible going into the game. So that's something that we do, and I think our sports science group does a really good job of individualizing and personalizing what everybody gets so that they're ready from week to week and match to match.
Thank you. And one more, with this LA Galaxy group that is new for you and some of them between, new to the group, does it change the percentage that you put into the analysis of the rival preparing any kind of match, or is it exactly the same as you're doing since you've been in Toronto and you work always with the preparation of a match?
No, the preparation of the match for me it's the same. We always are trying to find the balance of prioritizing who we are and what we're trying to do relative to our identity and the way we want to play the game. But within that, there's the nuance of what is the opposition trying to do so that we understand where we think the gaps are going to be, where we think the opportunities are going to be. So we add that in also in terms of the preparation. I call that more of a nuanced approach to our looking at the opposition, and we still prioritize who we are and what it is that we want to accomplish. But every game's a little bit different. Every opponent's a little bit different. And so we do tie in, and that hasn't changed, and it'll never change, I don't think, until I find, continue to find better ways to do it. But from where I was, whether it was Toronto or here, we still always prioritize ourselves, and then we have little adaptations that we might do from week to week depending on who we play and where we think the advantages might come.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, I think we have time for one more. We'll go to Gio Garcia. Gio, go ahead.
Hey, Greg. Thanks, Chris. I just wanted to ask, I don't know if you were asked this earlier. I hopped on a little late. The Sounders have been playing with 5 defenders these first 2 games. Does that change how you guys approach this game tactically and what you've seen so far from the Sounders?
Yeah, again, I think it's just like the question before. I think it's one of the nuances that we have to be aware of. Does it change things? I think in our mindset, we have to be obviously aware of the fact that they could play 5 in the back, and that's what they have done. So if that does, yes, we have an adaptation and dealing with 5 in the back or how we would want to approach that. If they play 4 in the back, same thing. It's kind of an if-then scenario. If you see this, then we do this. And so then we work to adapt to the different scenarios that we see, whether in the different shapes that the opposition might take up. That's why I kind of referenced the Red Bulls playing in 3 different shapes the other day, because defensively your reference points change, whether they have a single pivot, a double pivot, 3 in the back, 2 in the back, one, whatever. These things can alter some of the things that you're reading as players and how you want to approach a scenario or a game. And so there are things that we're attentive to, but again, all within what it is we want to try to accomplish. But it helps us to understand what we're trying to read and how we can try to, again, create the situations that we want to create in the match.
And just quickly on Araujo, I think we saw him play a little bit as a wing on the game. Do you expect to see that more of Araujo this season?
No, not necessarily. I think it's something he can do. It gives us a different look at times, especially with our current group. With Julian with his pace and his directness to really get behind, whether that's in transition or just to get behind and get these right-footed crosses off at speed. It gives us something, and it gives us another, especially in this last game, just defensive work ahead of the back line. So I look at players as a set of characteristics, and if we need those characteristics in a position at a certain time, then we'll utilize that. But it's not necessarily a role that I see Julian playing on any significant basis. It made sense for the moment, and we may encounter those moments again in the future. But on that game, it was something we just used for the time being.